Hi, hello, welcome or welcome back to my place on the internet. I'm Amanda. I make a lot of lifestyle and alternative content, and today I'm going to be doing an unpopular opinions video. I made one in 2018 and 2019. Remember that these are just my opinions and I'm not trying to change your mind about anything. With that all being said, let's just get into this. I've already made a couple videos on this topic, but I think that microlabels aren't inherently harmful as long as the person using them isn't spreading misinformation or it doesn't come out of a place of internalized biphobia or internalized homophobia or anything like that. I think we should respect everyone's labels and educate them if they happen to start spreading misinformation instead of shaming them and attacking their label and their identity. So this one sounds pretty bad at first. I think the LGBTQ community needs to be abolished, eventually at least. I don't really understand why there is the LGBTQ community and then straight people. They were all humans and we categorized ourselves based on our preferences. In the far future, if we ever survive climate change, I think we need to I don't know, get rid of those labels and all just live how we are and like who we like. I believe that pansexuality technically is a microlabel. If we look at the true definition of bisexuality as stated in the 1990 Bi Manifesto, we can see that bisexuality has always and will always be inclusive of everyone who likes multiple genders, whether that be with or without preferences. With that definition, technically pansexuality would be a microlabel because it's a more specific version of bi. I'm not saying that's bad at all, but I think when we're looking at microlabels, we also have to look at how pansexuality relates to that. I believe that asexuals are LGBTQ, and not just aces like me who like people of the same gender, but I think all aces. And I know people like to say oh, asexuals haven't experienced as much oppression. You shouldn't have to be oppressed in a certain way in order to enter the community. Anyone who's not straight should be able to be LGBTQ. I don't see why we shouldn't let them in if they want to be in the LGBTQ community, if they want a safe space. I don't know if this is that unpopular or not or what. I'm not really sure how people feel about this, but I think technically all humans, or the vast majority of humans, would fall under the definition of being bisexual, because if we look at sexuality as a spectrum, it would be very, very rare for someone to be completely on one side of the spectrum, so whether that be gay or straight. I'm not saying that everyone should go around calling themselves bisexual, but according to the science, I'm pretty sure most people are not 100% straight or 100% gay. Specifically for this one, I am talking about feeling like you have to leave comments on your friends' social media posts. I know that comments are important or whatever on social media these days. I feel like if you don't actually want to comment, if you genuinely don't have anything to say, you shouldn't just reach for something or try to find something to say. I think that pressure is kind of toxic and creates a fakeness on social media that I wish wasn't there. Social media breaks need to be normalized and encouraged. I strongly believe in this one, and I feel like most people believe in it, but they don't actually do anything about it. And that's where there's kind of a disconnect. So I think we need to start taking more breaks ourselves in order to normalize it. Another one is that social media has more negatives than positives. Sometimes I go back and forth with this one, so I'm not completely set in stone about it. But I did watch this documentary on Netflix called The Social Dilemma, which kind of helped me to understand this a little bit more. I think it's addictive and it can be a waste of time when you're just constantly scrolling. And I think we need to make a culture of creating and consuming instead of just consuming. I'm pretty sure YouTube would demonetize me if I actually said the word, so I'm just gonna call it corn. But I think porn is very bad and we need to stop normalizing it. I myself, I'm not a Christian, I'm not religious. I'm just saying that from a scientific standpoint, it's not healthy for our brains, and there's a whole organization dedicated to fighting it. It's non-religious, it's called Fight the New Drug. I don't think normalizing it is good for our culture or our species. Instead of telling girls that they need to be careful about what they post on the internet, we need to make it socially unacceptable for men to take advantage of girls and women. There is a trend on TikTok like last week where people would show their arches. If you don't know what I'm talking about, don't even look into it. I saw so many comments on that trend and the videos in that trend saying that these videos were ending up on the hub, if you know what I mean. And that's just disgusting. If those girls want to participate in a fun trend, that's their right, and we should be blaming the men who are putting that content on the website and watching it. Overall, I think we just have to stop normalizing victim blaming on social media. I personally am an antinatalist, but I think the aspect of desiring a kid is kind of selfish. Like you want a kid, but for what reason? The reason is to benefit you. Like, why do you want a kid? So you can take care of someone, so you can have someone to love you, so someone can take care of you when you're old. Like, all of these reasons seem very selfish to me, so I think usually it is a selfish act, and I think that when you're bringing a life into the world, you don't know how that life is going to experience the world. You don't know how much suffering they're going to go through. They're going to die one day. I mean, like, you're just creating suffering, so that's why I think adoption is probably the best way to go if you really want kids. But most things are not real. Like, if you think about it, a lot of food isn't real. Humans just made it up. Things like waffles or pancakes, those are not real food. Like, humans literally just invented them. The only things that are real are like fruits, beans, things that grow and then we eat them, whole foods, you know? But like recipes and stuff, like, some of these foods are just made up by humans. It's crazy. Same with like gender and money and math. Humans just made all of these things up. I don't know. Next, I think that humans are not that important or special. As a whole species, we're not really that important. So for example, if the bees or the ants died out, the entire ecosystem would collapse and everything would be chaotic. However, if the human species died out, the earth would thrive, all of the other animals would thrive, like everything would be better off without us, so I don't think we're as special as we think that we are. This one is kind of hard to explain, but I think that most people are like asleep, metaphorically, or like are sheep and are just following the herd. I feel like the masses are kind of in this position where they don't really think for themselves, and not a lot of people are thinking for themselves. They're kind of forming their opinions off of everyone else and what everyone else is doing. I think it's important to ask certain questions, like, why are we doing this thing? Why do we have these traditions? Why is this part of our culture? Why do we have this system in place? There's so much shaming when it comes to privilege, and I think it doesn't make any sense. Most things are a privilege. Being able to watch movies and watch TV is a privilege. Everything we do is pretty much a privilege. So I don't know why we would shame people for certain things, especially when they can't control them. I think recognizing that privilege is very important, but shaming them for that just doesn't make sense to me. My first opinion on Gen Z is that bandwagoning or hate culture has gone too far. I see this so often where people will just collectively decide to hate on someone, and I think they don't even think about why they're doing it. They're just doing it because other people are doing it. It's pretty messed up, and I think people need to start thinking for themselves instead of just doing what everyone else is doing. Every generation probably has their own superiority complex, but I think Gen Z's is a little bit bad right now. So for example, I was looking at TikTok the other day, and there's this girl, I think she has a couple million followers now, basically because she moves her head like this close up. And all of the comments that she's been getting recently are like, oh, you don't deserve the hype. I feel like it's very disrespectful that these people think that they can decide who should and shouldn't be popular. It just does not sit right with me. So this one technically is not just a Gen Z thing, but I'm just going to include it with this because Gen Z does do it a lot, and that's reducing someone to their opinions. I definitely think it's okay to disagree with someone and to voice that disagreement, but I think personally attacking someone or coming for their appearance or something that they can't control is not really okay. Basically what you're doing when you do that is reducing someone just to their opinions. So you're saying nothing else about them really matters because they have those opinions. Putting famous people up on pedestals can be bad. It's not always bad, but I think that when we idolize certain people, it would be like the opposite of dehumanizing someone, where we're seeing them as more than human in a way. I do this one too, I'm guilty of it, but I think seeing people as above others isn't really healthy. Gen Z does this so much, I can't. Asking easily Googleable questions shows that you don't really care that much about the answer, because if you did, you would be doing that research yourself. Unless they specifically state that they know the answer or you think they know the answer off the top of your head, then that's fine. But I think asking specific questions like statistics and things that they might not know or you don't know that they know, it's just a little bit rude. Like, just do it yourself. It's not that hard. I saved this one for last because I feel like a lot of people have a lot of opinions on this. Please don't hate me. These are literally just my opinions. My first one, not all capitalism is equally unethical. I've seen so many people say that stupid quote, "There's no ethical consumption under capitalism." If you buy really cheap, fast fashion, the people making those clothes are definitely not going to be paid a livable wage. But if you're supporting companies that actually pay their workers livable wages, obviously that's better. I also see issues like morality that aren't factored into that quote at all. Like, for example, I'm vegan because I believe eating animals is wrong. So obviously buying the vegan version of something is going to be more ethical for me than buying the non-vegan version, even though they're both capitalism. I think that quote is way too simple because there's a lot of other factors that go into it, and I think people use that quote in order to avoid taking responsibility so that they can keep all the same habits and actions and keep buying all the unethical things that they want, instead of actually trying to do a little bit better on an individual level. This one, the us versus them mentality, literally hurts everyone. In specific, with the Republican versus Democrat, liberal versus conservative, like all these different sides to things, that just hurts everyone. We should all be coming together to fight for equality, not fighting each other. It seems very pointless to me, and it seems like the people in power that are upholding the problematic systems wanted everyone to come for each other so that we wouldn't have time to unite and actually work on dismantling the issues. This one is gonna get me in some trouble right now. Just to clarify, I am planning on voting this election season. However, voting I don't think does as much as we think it does. People in power want us to believe that voting is important and that we have a say when we're voting, but in reality, who we vote for doesn't really matter that much, because both people or whoever wins is not really gonna make that much of a difference. Sure, little things here and there, but overall the system is going to be staying the same. We are only voting within that system that they're forcing upon us, instead of getting to choose what system we want. This one's also going to make people mad. Basically, we should be targeting the corrupt systems instead of the political people that uphold those systems. Like, once he's gone, we could replace him with anyone else and they could do the same exact thing. So we should be targeting those corrupt systems instead of targeting the people that uphold them. Finally, my overall thought about politics is that politics are kind of stupid because they just divide humanity. It's another one of those things that humans just made up for, I don't really know why. Politics bring a lot of unnecessary drama and confusion and fighting into the world. Alright, so that is all of my unpopular opinions for today. I hope you enjoyed this video, and let me know down below which opinions you agree with and which opinions you disagree with, and I will see you next time. Peace out.